It's the weekend, and you have financial questions that need answering. That can only mean one thing. It's time for Jill on Money, the show that takes the mystery out of your finances. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
Welcome to Jill on Money. Yeah, it is officially summertime. That does not mean you're allowed to just shut down your brain. Come on. You know, it's time for you to engage just for a little bit. Talk about what's going on in your financial life. We're here to help you out. I'm Jill Schlesinger. Mark's running the show behind the glass. He had a very bad commute into work today. A subway fiasco. And very strange for him because he usually bikes to work. He must have gotten a late start. Oh, he didn't want to be sweaty. And guess what? Let me tell you something, guys. He's glistening right now. That's how sweaty he is. Sorry, man. What was there? No AC on there? Or it stopped dead in the station and the doors were open? Ugh, the worst. The worst. When I first got to New York, there were many times where you would be in unair-conditioned trains on the 456, which is like this, sardine-packed line right down the east side. Horrible. And you would get to work feeling like, you had just been out running for 2 hours. It was so, oh, brother. Oh, those of you commuting by your cars and you're just minutes away, you're so lucky. All right. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. And hey, we have lots of good stuff going on. Mark's been very busy. You got to check out our YouTube channel. Just search Jill Schlesinger. And our podcast, Better Off. You can get it on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever you get those podcasts. And check it out because it's kind of like this show, but it's a little different, just a little different. I'm going to have to figure out how to describe the difference, Mark, that makes sense. But it's shorter. It'll give you a little snapshot. And if you're a podcast listener and you're in that mode, it's kind of good. And we also do like a bonus call of the week. So it's like 25, 30 minutes for the big show and then 5 to 8 minutes of a bonus call every week. So, again, just check it out. Better Off. That's the name of it. All right, let's start the program with a question because that's always the most fun. So we've got Steve, who's on the line from Minnesota. Hi, Steve. Welcome to Jill on Money. How are you?
I'm good.
What can I do for you?
The company that I work for 24 years just recently sold, and we were an ESOP company.
Okay.
And so the company that's buying us has to pay all the shareholders off as part of when they buy it.
Oh, great.
And my balance is $860,000.
Holy smokes. That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
57. And I was just wondering if you had any suggestions on where I should plant that money.
Okay. So tell me, first of all, a little bit more about yourself. You said you're 57. Are you married?
Yeah, married. 3 kids. 2 are grown and out of the house. 1 left in college, has 3 years left.
Okay. And how about other savings besides this $860,000, which is fantastic?
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Between my wife and I, we have probably another $750,000 in IRAs, 401ks, universal life, that sort of thing. Universal
life. Who sold you that?
NWL.
Uh-huh. Okay. So, how long have you had? Is that a non-qualified policy? Meaning it's just a universal life. It's not like an annuity that's in. You don't have any other stuff like that's an annuity, that's an IRA or anything like that. It's just the one chunk in the universal life.
Correct. And between the two of us, we each have a policy that have a cash value of about $50,000.
Okay. So, how long ago did you get those policies?
Oh, probably 10, 12 years ago.
Okay. May not even need that insurance anymore. Interesting.
You're correct. We've started to look at that in our heads anyway, thinking, I'm not sure we really need life insurance anymore.
Right. Okay. Now, Tell me about, are you going to, so the company was purchased. Are you going to be working at the new company?
Yes.
Okay.
As far as we know, nothing's changing in regards to our employment in that, as in the short term, for sure.
Tell me about the distribution. Are you getting it in one lump sum? Are there a couple? What's happening?
In 2 months, we're getting 80% of that. And then in, I think it's 18 months or thereabouts, we get the balance of it. It's the way it was explained. It's being held back in an escrow until everything's finalized.
Wow. Okay. And did you get any? Did you get some notification about taxes on this?
Over the next 2 months, we have a number of meetings with financial advisors and the ESOP administrator on what we can do with these funds and how taxes work, and do you roll it over into your 401k as an option, or you could put it in an IRA of your own, or you can take the cash and you're stuck with the penalties and the tax to pay on it.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to do that. That's what I want to make sure you, so especially because of your age. Do you have any idea of the new company's 401k yet? Do you know what any details on that?
We do not. Employees have just got this news about 2 weeks ago, and we've asked those questions, but haven't got the answer yet.
Okay, that's great. And a couple of other questions. Right now, you said you had $750 total sort of savings. This is $860. Do you know how much money you need to live on, Steve?
Currently?
Yeah.
We figure about $5,000 to $6,000 a month.
Okay. And would you say you plan to work for how much longer? Just guesstimate. I promise I won't hold you to it.
Probably 8 years-ish. My wife is 3 years older than I am. Okay.
And will either of you be entitled to a pension?
She is.
Okay. Do you know the amount?
I don't have the exact figures.
Okay.
I believe she was going to get somewhere in the neighborhood of $3,000 or $4,000 a month.
Wow. Oh, awesome. I love this plan already. Okay. So hang on, Steve, because I need a break so I can, get my calculator out and do a few quick figures and then get back to you about what you should be thinking about doing. This is a great turn of events. An employee stock ownership plan can be kind of annoying in many ways, but this is probably about the best outcome you could have. This is a really, it's like a bit of a life changer for Steve. So I'm psyched for him. So when we come back from the break, we're going to tell Steve how to invest this $860,000 and get a good game plan together, help him look to retirement. It's Jill on Money, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back.
Have a question? Call anytime, 24/7, 855-411-JILL. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back with Jill on Money. 855-411-JILL is our phone number. Our email address is askjill@jillonmoney.com. Follow us on Twitter @JillOnMoney. Hey, Mark, don't you have an Instagram account? What is that? Jill on Money? @JillOnMoney. Instagram. See, I have to ask him what's going on. Hey, Mark, don't we have an Instagram account? I'm a dunce. I can't keep up with it all. I've gotten busy trying to do my calculations to help people like Steve out. Steve from Minnesota is 57 years old, 3 kids, married, great saver, has an ESOP plan, an employee stock option plan that is now being liquidated, which is going to fall into his lap. $860,000, adding to the $750,000 you and your wife have already saved. You're going to be a millionaire in just a couple of months. How does that feel?
That feels pretty good.
I bet it does. Good for you. So let me ask you a couple questions. When we look forward at the, you said you want to retire, say, in 8 years, and you said you need income. Let's say you need $6,000 a month. And so I'll take the upper end of your range. You said $5,000 or $6,000 a month. And let's say that your wife's pension is at the low end of the range, which would be $3,000 a month. So we only have to produce $3,000 a month from what is essentially going to be at least a couple $1 million, probably more, in 8 years. So you're in great shape. That sort of is your first round on your retirement planning. It's fantastic. The harder part now is what to do with it. So you said that you had been sold a life insurance policy, and so I presume that that's the only outside financial guidance you've had. You don't have another financial advisor in your pocket, right?
No, just the person that's sold us that life insurance, and then they hold our IRAs also.
How are those IRAs invested?
Kind of on I believe we're at about a 70-30 between stocks and bonds.
Mm-hmm. And in what are they invested?
Basically in what NWNL or what Northwestern Mutual Life. Whatever that they deem good for our age group.
Okay, but you think it's mutual funds? That's what I was asking before about the whether you okay, so it's mutual funds, not an annuity.
Well, so the IRAs are in mutual funds.
Okay.
And then there's life insurance also. Right. It's all through the same company.
All right. Well, it's expensive, and clearly, at this point, because you have 3 kids and just one left in college, you probably don't really need that life insurance. So let me go back and ask you a bigger question. How do you feel about doing this yourself? Would you like guidance, or do you feel comfortable doing it yourself?
I feel pretty comfortable doing it myself. We went with a financial planner about 10 years ago, thinking that we need help with this. We don't have time maybe to keep up with as we get closer to retirement, what we should be changing or thinking of. And so that's why we did that. But sometimes it seems like that expense to have that help might be not worth it.
Yeah, because I'm thinking 2 things. Number one is if you can do it yourself, you would save yourself a lot of money. So that's obvious, right? But number 2, I'm not sure that this person who sold you this insurance policy did you any favors, because you probably didn't need a universal life policy. Because you bought it 10 or 12 years ago, it's not going to hurt you now. So I have a couple of ideas. First of all, depending on what your new retirement plan is going to be, maybe that 860 just rolls into the new 401k. For example, if the new company says, hey, we have this big, beautiful retirement plan, it's Vanguard funds, they're really cheap and go for it, then that's a terrific place for you to have that money flow into. If conversely, the acquiring company has a rotten 401k, maybe through another insurance company, or maybe it's all expensive mutual funds, no index funds, then we might turn to an IRA rollover. And one of the reasons why I'm thinking about using the 401k for you is I'm just wondering if did a bigger company acquire your company?
Yes, almost 5 times bigger.
I mean, oftentimes those big companies have the cheaper retirement plan options because they've got the enough assets to negotiate pretty well. So I think we have to find out, number one, what the company offers. If you're not feeling so keen on what they offer, when you find out, you shoot me an email and you let me know. If we say, hey, you know what, let's just do an IRA rollover, then that's very easy. We can open up an IRA rollover, again, at a cheap place. So a Vanguard or a T. Rowe Price or a Fidelity or a Schwab or a TD Ameritrade, and you open up an account there. The money will roll in. Then I think that, I know that you're a 70-30 investor right now, but I'm sort of wondering whether you could even dial it back. You probably could be 60-40, a little bit less risk, take it easy for the next 8 years, And as long as you populate that account with low-cost funds and you don't muck around with it too much, I think you're going to be in great shape. The one caveat I have for you about maybe potentially, say, maybe hiring someone maybe to do some hourly work would be around that old insurance policy and those old IRA accounts. Because if they are invested in a way where you would get hammered for pulling the money out, I would worry about that. So what I may want you to do is just so you could hire someone by the hour and say, hey, could you just look at these two policies and this old IRA account and just let me know what you think is the cost to get out or the best way to extract the money. Because in some insurance policies, it makes sense to borrow the money out. In some insurance policies, it may be worth it to cash it out. But I don't know until you can actually look at a policy illustration, which kind of crunches the numbers for you. So I think that you're in very good shape, just big, broad strokes, right? You've got the money. You're going to be in 8 years, you're going to be in terrific financial condition to be able to retire. I think that now your big question is, can you do it yourself? If you can, you use a low-cost index fund allocation, maybe pull that risk back a little bit, and don't mess around with it too much. And I think you'll be great. Do you feel good about that potential game plan?
Yeah, I think I do. I just have to converse with my wife about, this is what Jill thinks that we should do, and I think it seems like a good advice.
Well, listen, if she runs into any questions, I'm going to let her. We could do like a fun thing where she calls up and says, "Well, wait, I have a different view on it." So if she wants to call back, we'll get her on the air. How's that?
She may. This was her idea.
All right, get her on the line. I'd love to do it's almost like a couples financial therapy. We can get both sides. Steve, thank you so much for calling. Go Minnesota Wild. Hey, Mark, I have a Minnesota Wild T-shirt. It's a darn good-looking T-shirt. It is made for women. And, I know what. Don't give me that look. There's a different cut to it. It has a little bit narrower cut, and it has a V-neck. So it's a stylin' Minnesota Wild T-shirt. Mark does not like V-necks, but my friends at CCO Radio sent that to me, and man, that is a good-looking shirt. Steve, thank you so much for calling. You like that story, right? That was good. Oh, Mark wants a mug from one of ours. They don't make it anymore. We have a station out in Grand Rapids, Michigan, called Wood Radio, WOOD. And they have great slogans surrounding the word wood, which I cannot say on this family program, but they do have those. I'll get it for you. I'll have to see. Maybe give you my T-shirt. You're listening to Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email. Ask Jill at jillonmoney.com. Hey, during the break, just go check out our podcast, Better Off. Go subscribe to it. Apple products or anywhere else you get your Apple products. Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts. Go get it. Better Off. All right. We'll be right back. Hang on.
It doesn't matter if you're 25 or 65. Jill Schlesinger is here to help you. Back to Jill on Money.
You're back with Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email. Ask Jill at jillonmoney.com. Hey, you know what I just remembered, Mark? I still have your screeners. I got to give those back to you. Because I never watched any of them. I don't have the capability to watch a movie anymore. I binge watch these Netflix series, and I've got no time left. All right. By the way, we've just been getting so much great feedback from our interview with Diana Henriquez. So do the woman a solid and go buy the book, Wizard of Lies. She killed herself writing that darn thing. You know what I'm psyched about? We're going to have her back on in the fall when she does that big book about the crash of 1987. I want to get her back on. But that Wizard of Lies, I thought that was really good. Did you like the movie, Mark? It was good. It really is good. You know what Mark does? You know, he's like Mr. in shape, fit guy, but he's eating like vanilla wafers or what are those things? What are they? Yeah, vanilla, something or others. No, vanilla fingers. Vienna fingers, that's what they are. All right. Let's go take a call. If you've got a financial question, we want to hear from you. 855-411-JILL. Paul from Nebraska. Welcome to Jill on Money, Paul. What can we do for you?
Yes, good morning, Jill. I'm a first-time caller, and I'm a first-time listener.
Woo!
So I heard you, and I have a interesting situation. I wanted to have additional input, please.
Okay.
My spouse is receiving $200,000 in inheritance. It's a buyout from a trust that she's a part of.
Okay.
And I'm 65, and she is 61. We have $197,000 outstanding with a mortgage. We own 3 additional houses that are all paid for.
Whoa. 3 additional houses? Just all rental income?
Yes.
Oh, wow. What's the rate on the mortgage on your primary?
3.375.
Oh, boy, that's really cheap. Okay, so primary, and what do you figure the house is worth, the primary?
Between 270 and 320.
All right, so let's call it 300 with about 200 left on the mortgage. Okay, and then the 3 other houses, rental properties, are you managing them or do you have a rental agent to do that?
I'm doing the
management.
Yeah, all of that word. Yeah.
Wow, good for you. That'll keep you busy. So is that your full-time job, or are you also working as well?
My spouse is a registered nurse, and I travel around the United States. I repair. I'm an energy healer. I repair people's brains.
Really? Oh, I love that. Okay. How much money do you need to live on? Are you supporting yourselves? Tell me what's happening.
Good question. We also talk to our CPA, and our CPA suggests that any additional income that she has should be instead sent directly into her retirement instead of receiving any from the facility, and just live off $100,000. That's what he is suggesting.
Right, because does she work at a nonprofit? Does she have a 403B or a 401k available to her?
Yes.
And is she maxing it or not? She obviously isn't, because he's saying to put the money in there. How much money is she putting in there right now?
Currently, we only have $140K in that pension.
And do you know how much she puts in on an annual or a monthly basis, or what percentage of her income she's contributing?
Currently, only 3%.
Oh, I see. I like that idea. I like the CPA's idea. So what he's saying is, how much money does she make from as a nurse?
90 gross.
I mean, so she is over the age of 50, which means she could put $24,000 a year of that 90 into the account. I agree with him. That's a great move for her to do. I would definitely do that. So that's first things first. And then add how much money. I mean, you got to have a pretty high tax bracket. How much money do you figure you're taking in, just gross income, between the two of you and the rental properties?
120.
Yeah.
Wait. 120 would be my income, her income. Another. See, you said annual. About 130 total.
Okay, that's great. That would be great. So here's what I want to ask you. How do you feel about investment risk? Is that something that you are okay with? Do you feel like it makes you crazy? You know, how do you guys deal with that?
Our pensions that we have, have all been gone into mutual funds. We took a big hit in 2008, and but my houses that I've had have done nothing but increase over these many years. And that's where I eventually started out saying this is going to be my retirement.
Mm-hmm.
So I was willing to put in the sweat equity and the resources into the rental units so that, again, it would produce something for us at retirement.
So how much are those rental properties worth? The 3 houses that are paid for, how much are they worth right now? Approximately.
$350, right in there somewhere.
Total?
Yes.
Okay, got it. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go to the break, and then we're going to talk. We're going to come back and talk a little bit more because I'm interested in this, in kind of figuring out for you guys the best use of this inheritance. I agree with the CPA that it would be great to take part of that money and use it to live on, and then that would allow you to put money into her retirement account and max out, and that would be helpful. But I'm not sure. You don't need to leave $200 in cash in that respect. So when we come back, we're going to talk to Paul a little bit more about this potential inheritance and what to do. Actually, it's a definitely inheritance and what to do with it. You're listening to Jill on Money, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back. You're back with Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, we want to hear from you. Our phone number here, 855-411-JILL. And our email address is askjill@jillonmoney.com. Mark says I have to bug you guys, all of you guys, to get our podcast Better Off. Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, anywhere else you find your favorite podcasts. You know? I'd like to check it out. It's cool. All right. Before we went to the break, we were talking to Paul from Nebraska. He's 65. His wife is 61. They are still working. He is basically managing their 3 rental properties as well as doing some consulting on the side. And wife is working. And, you know, their total income with rental property, everything is about $130,000 a year. Wife is about to inherit $200,000. What should they do with it? And the first thing we talked about, Paul, was making sure that we kept some of this money in cash so that you have the available funds to live on, so your wife could contribute to her retirement account and hopefully max it out at $24,000. I neglected to ask you, Paul, do you have an emergency reserve fund? Any money that's just set aside in a safe place?
Yes, I have $2,000.
$2,000?
Yeah, it's not enough, but...
All right, so this is... Okay, that's okay. So that would be, to me, how much money do you think you need to spend in a given year? I mean, do you spend all of your income right now?
Because of the rental houses, repairs, that's a really quality question.
I'm going to guess. Let's separate this. If you can separate the rental property costs out of it, what to pay your own bills. Can you do that? I mean, I don't know. If you do both together, it's fine.
Because our mortgage currently is $2,500 a month,
mm-hmm.
I put it on an aggressive payback. And so that's taken a massive chunk out of our income.
Okay.
So $3,500 is our approximate expenditures monthly.
Mm-hmm. And then probably another, $1,000 a month on, because stuff in the rental properties you have to just pay for. So if I said $4,000 a month, it wouldn't be so extreme, right? If you thought about it. Okay. So what I'd like to do is out of the $200,000, the first thing we need to do is we need to replenish your emergency reserve account. So in that $2,000, I want you to put $50,000 in there. So it's $52,000. Okay? And you're going to keep that there, and it's going to be, that's like your, oh my God, my little safety net, right? Then you got to have another 25 added to that so that you can have your wife put money into her retirement account, right?
Right.
So now I have $125,000 left. Now, here's my question to you. Is there anything else you need to spend money on, especially with those rental properties, out of that 125 that you think you might need, let's say within the next year or two?
Not including the rentals?
Let's say even with the rentals. Let's just give me the number.
$20,000.
Okay. So now so I'm just going to say, so now we have $100,000 left. There's nothing else that you think you need. Do you need a car?
Nope.
Nope. Okay. And no repairs in your primary. So here's the big question I have for you. Of that $100,000, do you feel comfortable investing it, or would you just feel 100% better saying, you know what, I absolutely can't invest it? I mean, you have to be honest with me, because if you invest it and then the market goes down, I know you're going to just sell it. So you have to be clear about what you can manage. How do you feel about that?
I'm rather conservative with investing on my own, making my own pull triggers.
Yep.
I've not been comfortable doing that, therefore letting the so-called professionals do it, and yet I see that we lost 30% in 2008, and I feel uncomfortable with that. So I'm willing to make my money work for me.
Okay.
I'm willing to put it into real estate. I'm willing to put it into something that maybe a small portion of stock exchange.
Okay. All right. So here's something to consider. If you're looking at, so we're only talking about, of the 200, we're talking about 100. Now, there's two ways to approach this. One is you say, okay, some of this money, I need it for the second year of my wife's 401k contribution. So maybe what you do with the 100 that's left over is you get like a 1-year CD, okay, or a 2-year CD for $25,000. Okay, then maybe you do a 3-year CD for another $25,000, and then a 5-year, let's say like a 4-year. You can create a ladder so that every year you have 4 CDs. Each one comes due, you have enough money to cover your wife's 401k contribution. If she plans to actually retire before that time, you could then say, well, you know what? I'll just do it for a couple of years. But if you're really uncomfortable with stocks, I would listen to that little thing in your belly. At the most, what I would do is, of the 100,000, maybe I'd put 25 or 30 grand in an index fund, a boring old S&P 500 or extended market index fund with Vanguard. Be clear, whatever you put in there, you're not going to touch. But it's not a bad idea to have some risk so we can keep pace with inflation. Paul, thanks for calling. It's Jill on Money, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back. You're back with Jill on Money. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. All right. If you've got a financial question, I'd love to hear from you. Send us an email. Very easy. AskJill@jillonmoney.com. Rena wrote that she is old enough to withdraw money from her 401k without penalty. And she says, I need to do some renovations to my 40-year-old home. I own it. I am still working. Would it be smarter to withdraw money from my 401k and pay taxes on the withdrawal, or to take a home improvement loan and pay interest? So it kind of depends. I mean, I hate to add to your tax liability. So I don't know. So a couple of follow-up questions. How much money you're going to take out obviously has something to do with this. If it's a small amount and it's not going to change your tax bracket, then maybe you take the money out without the penalty and just pay the tax due, because you're going to have to do that anyway. If you are still working and you plan to work for a long time, if you don't want to pay the tax on it, then you could potentially just take a loan against it. And then you don't have to pay the tax, pay yourself back the interest. Maybe that would work. I think getting a second mortgage or a home equity loan, again, it depends on how much money you're talking about. It really, It's probably not the best idea to do that, depending on how much you're going to withdraw. And oftentimes these home equity loans, you have to withdraw $100,000 because they really don't want to write these loans for anything less. But maybe a home equity line of credit you could do. That might be possible. It depends on the pricing that you can get, the amount of interest you'd have to pay for the loan, and the amount of money that you need. And so I guess, Rena, what I'm saying to you, I need some more information. Oh, what a pain in the neck. So I hope that you follow up, send me some more info, and we'll give you an answer, okay? All right, stay tuned. Hour number 2 coming up. It's Jill on Money, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back.
It's the weekend, which means it's time for Jill on Money, the show that makes money fun and just happens to answer all your financial questions. Here's your host, Jill Schlesinger.
You're back. It's hour number 2 of Jill on Money, and this is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. And one big mystery of the post-recession era, or also known as the recovery, is how the lending market was going to change, because you knew something was going to shift, and it was going to shift pretty dramatically. And I could think of no better guests than the 2 guests that I will be having this hour, who are going to explain what's going on in the lending market and why they think they've got the answer to all right, not all, but some of your borrowing and lending questions. Harit Talwar is the head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Yeah, the guy works for Goldman Sachs. We have like 2 Goldman Sachs executives right here. We were going to have Lloyd Blankfein, but I actually said, forget it. I don't want Lloyd. I've interviewed him before. I've never interviewed Harit. And so Harit's going to tell us a little bit about what Marcus by Goldman Sachs is all about. He's joined by his colleague, Dustin Cohn, who is Managing Director, Head of Brand and Marketing Communications for Marcus by Goldman Sachs. And so, Harit, what the heck is Marcus by Goldman Sachs anyway?
Well, thank you very much, Jill, for inviting us. Marcus by Goldman Sachs is an online lending platform where our overwhelming objective is to help creditworthy Americans manage their high-interest credit card debt better.
Now, the reason why, first of all, that is so good. Did you write that down? You've got notes in front of you, but you can say that in your sleep now.
I can say that in my sleep. Not only me, the whole team can say that. We're all inspired by this vision because we truly believe that creditworthy American households deserve a better option than their high-interest credit card debt.
So it's a very interesting theory that you say that they deserve it, because I think that when you so the revisionist history of the credit boom and bust is a bunch of knuckleheads, borrowed too much money, got into all sorts of problems. They kind of screwed themselves, and tough luck on them. And they need the bitter pill of not being able to access credit for the next 7 years.
So respectfully, I disagree with you. There was a Fed study recently that if the very important number to remember is $400. So today in America, if somebody has $400 of unexpected expenditure, half the country needs to borrow or sell something which they own. And this is across the spectrum. A colloquial rule of thumb is that those whose FICO scores are over 660 are prime creditworthy customers. A third of them, if they have $400 of unexpected expenditure, need to borrow. And this is not because they are flying off to Las Vegas or buying jewelry. This is because life happens.
Right, because, my father-in-law gets sick and something's not covered, and now I have to help him out, right?
Correct. The roof has a leak. The washing machine breaks down. I've got to fly to visit a family member who's not well. I have a 16-year-old daughter who's in a community college and has a job. The car transmission breaks down. So life happens. And then when this happens, most people in the U.S. tend to borrow on their credit cards, thinking that they will pay back soon. But over time, multiple events happen. And today in America, there are tens of millions of American households who have good credit history, who have been responsible, but who have anywhere from $5,000 to $25,000 of debt on their credit cards, and they're paying very high interest rate. But, Jill, to me, that's one part of the problem. A big issue, and which is why shows like yours are so very important, is that there's a stigma around talking about debt.
I think so. I just want to be clear that when I said that was the mantra of like looking back at what happened in that was not my opinion. That was just an opinion, because I agree with you. I think that oftentimes, especially early, when did we start this show? In 2010? So in 2010, we used to get a lot of people who would call up and really mad. Like, why do I have to worry about bailing out these irresponsible people? And then, Dustin, I had read a very interesting study that really was less housing related, but the second order effect of I lost my job, my wife's hours at the hospital were cut, something else happened, and that these exogenous events to some extent really hit a lot of Americans. And at a time where there really they couldn't borrow against their house because their house values were plunging, they dove into the credit card market. And I'm just wondering, how is it that you guys, Marcus by Goldman Sachs, what is it that you have access to that allows you to enter this market? I mean, obviously, this is a new venture for Goldman Sachs. Why do it?
Well, there are a few reasons. The firm certainly has put clients at the center of everything that they've done. And so Marcus by Goldman Sachs is no different. We are very consumer-centric. And we spent a lot of time understanding the pain points that these consumers go through. And it's somewhat surprising that people with good and excellent credit are carrying this kind of credit card debt and not managing it well. And in fact, what we learned was over 3/4 of them are unaware that a product like ours even exists.
Right. They don't know. They wouldn't know where to turn. We just got recently, in the last few weeks, we got an email. Actually, is a guy that Mark and I work with at CBS who's like, I'm writing for a friend, but he has excellent credit. Just what you're describing. The friend has a credit score of, I think, north of 750. He's got $35,000 in credit card debt, and he was asking about a personal loan or, trying to do something else. And I said to Mark, wait till you hear the guys who come in from Marcus by Goldman Sachs, because I said this is actually the exact case study. And I think it would surprise a lot of people to know that there are so many people that they're not telling you, that are in trouble. And so when we come back from the break, we're going to talk a little bit about what is it about Goldman Sachs' ability to enter this market. What is different? What does the Goldman Sachs brand bring? What does the Goldman Sachs balance sheet bring? What does that do? What do you bring into the table that's different than what already exists in the marketplace, whether that's a horrible high interest credit card or other platforms that are out there? We got a question. What did the guy want to do? He wanted to go to SoFi, and he wanted to go to a debt consolidation company that was going to end up charging him like 9% plus $50 a month in fees. But we're going to find out more because we've got Dustin Cohn and the big boss, Harit Talwar. He's the head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs. They are here to tell us how the lending environment is changing right in front of our eyes. You're listening to Jill on Money. Our phone number, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back.
Have a question? Call anytime, 24/7, 855-411-JILL. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back with Jill on Money. This is the program that takes the mystery out of your financial life. I'm Jill Schlesinger. Mark's running the show. Sitting next to him is the delightful Kathleen, the PR flack for the guests who are here. I always like to say hi to the PR person. Everyone wave to the PR person. It's very nice. We are lucky to be joined by Harit Talwar. He is head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and his colleague Dustin Cohn, who is head of brand and marketing communications for Marcus by Goldman Sachs. And before we went to the break, we were talking about how there seems to be somewhat of a stigmatization of some people who are carrying debt. And you, obviously, Marcus, one of the goals is to sort of destigmatize this. I guess that I just made that word up. But I'm wondering, for a firm like Goldman Sachs to enter the retail business, it seems so strange to someone like me. I'm an old fart, right? So I know Goldman Sachs from 100 years ago. By the way, I interviewed at Goldman Sachs. I did not get a job. I just want to put that out there. I held no grudges, but I did not get a job. But why, first of all, why is it that Goldman went into this retail business, and what is it about Goldman Sachs that makes it uniquely positioned to launch a product like Marcus and talk to the retail to all the borrowers out there?
Sure, Jill. The core of the firm is client centricity and trying to solve customer problems. And technology and risk management and balance sheet are our core strengths. The firm saw that there is a large consumer segment, which, as we said, is paying very high interest rates on credit card debt, despite having good to excellent credit. And we felt we had the ability to serve that customer segment. What we bring to the table is that we don't have any legacy credit card business or any legacy consumer brick and mortar businesses. So we truly can approach this with a fresh perspective. And yet, unlike a lot of startups, we have a whole history of technology, risk management, and our own balance sheet. So we've put our own balance sheet to work in a greenfield operation to serve customer needs and their problems. And to make sure that we are genuinely solving customer needs and problems, we spoke to around 10,000 consumers before we launched our product.
Oh, my God. What you must have heard.
And we heard a few things. First and foremost, and this is the post-recession, people want real value, not gimmicks. So our loans typically for the comparative risk levels have interest rates which are 3 to 5% lower than what people would be paying on their credit card so that they can actually save money. The second thing we heard from consumers is they don't like variable interest rates, particularly with the Fed changing rates these days. They want certainty. So all our loans are fixed rates. So they are lower rates than credit cards and they are fixed rates. Very importantly, we heard from the consumer that they don't like gotchas, particularly when it comes to fees. So we have a product where we say no fees ever.
How do you do that? You just build it into the interest rate and you build that into your business model, right?
It's not that we build it into the interest rate. We think that we are making enough money on the interest rate that we don't need to have the extra burden of a fee for the consumer. And therefore, our interest rates are very comparable. In fact, tend to be very competitive compared to other lenders. They tend to be lower than credit cards. Plus, in addition, there is no fees. And in fact, some consumers were so surprised. They thought that how are we making money? And we said, yes, we are making money.
Yes, I know it's shocking to understand that Goldman Sachs would want to make a profit on this. But let me ask you something, if I may. You come from the credit card industry, right?
Yes.
You're not an old-time Goldman Sachs dude. You're brought in from the outside, which is weird in that culture because, my familiarity with the firm is that often they'll say, like, here's this brand new thing. So the person who was doing this job way in the other part of, like, sales and trading, let's just put that person. But they actually said, we're going outside the firm. And they poached you from Discover. Is that where you were?
Yes.
Talk about the difference between working for a card company and an investment banking firm.
So Discover's a great company. I had a great career over there.
Say something bad about them. Come on.
No.
Let's make some news.
No.
All right.
They're a good company, very customer-centric again, and it is what attracted me to Goldman too. What attracted me to Goldman was I was very impressed with how deliberate the firm was in making sure that they can truly address consumer needs and the commitment that they have to the business and to the team. Everybody told me do not ever compromise on talent. So our team is actually very multifaceted, talented team. We have around a third of the people, to your point, who are from within the firm. We have a third of the people who are from the consumer finance industry, the typical names that one would think of. And we have actually a third of our firm, including Dustin over here, who are from non-financial industries, whether Dustin is from Pepsi and Jockey. We have people from Nickelodeon and HBO. We have people from Google and Facebook, because we truly are attempting to solve customer needs in a modern 21st century way.
Now, Dustin, so you come from more of a consumer brand perspective. Talk about how the difference has been for you going from a soda, a jockey. I mean, I would have asked you to bring me T-shirts, for God's sakes. And now going into financial services. How is that for you?
Look, many of us joined because this was a startup within Goldman Sachs. And what a great opportunity to be part of a historical moment at Goldman Sachs, 147 years, and we're finally getting into the retail space. But really, the more we learned about our customers and potential consumers and what they were dealing with and struggling with every single day, there's a higher order purpose that we all have now, which is really exciting. We are helping Americans manage their debt better. And so that really drives us every day. And so when you ask what's it like to be at the firm, we know we're doing something really good to the public.
As opposed to making sure that everyone drinks a lot of Gatorade? Do you think that I mean, or that, like, you feel good in your skivvies?
Hydration and support is important.
Exactly. Well, wait a minute. If we hit your goals, what are we going to dump over your head? That's the thing that's very hard. So we're talking to Harit Talwar and Dustin Cohn. They are here from the firm Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Now, here is your trivia question. Why is it called Marcus? Come on, wait a second. We're going to let's let the listeners ponder that during the break. No Googling. That's no fun. By the way, do you ever notice that it's like Google can be such a buzzkill now at a party, and everyone's like, "Oh, no, that's wrong." You can't even go with an elaborate story because someone calls you out on it by checking Google. So while you're in the break, go check out why this is called Marcus by Goldman Sachs. And when we come back, I want to talk about how many Americans you think actually fall into this category. Basically, people who are really very good credit, who may have had a stumble here and there in their financial lives, but might need some help in managing that debt, and how they actually will do it and how they access it and what kind of technology, because I know that the technology stuff's very interesting. So when we return, more of our conversation with Harit Talwar, head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Dustin Cohn, head of brand and marketing communications for Marcus by Goldman Sachs. It's a big mouthful. I just think I want to say Marcus, but I guess you want me to say Goldman Sachs too. It's Jill on Money. See how simple that is? Jill on Money. 855-411-JILL. Easy. Ask Jill at JillOnMoney.com. Follow us on Twitter at JillOnMoney. And you never know. Mark might wrangle you and have you come be a guest on the show. When we're done, we're going to get Kathleen to do a financial plan right here on the spot. We'll be right back.
to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger. Want to get in touch? Call or email any day, anytime. 855-411-JILL or ask Jill at jillonmoney.com.
You're back with Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, we'd love to hear from you. 855-411-JILL. We are delighted to have two guests in the studio today. We've got Harit Talwar and Dustin Cohn. They are here from Marcus by Goldman Sachs. It is a new-ish. It's not brand new, but it's a new-ish business. And before we went to break, we did a little tease. So why Marcus? And Dustin, since you are the head of brand and marketing communications for Marcus, do tell us the origin story. Why not just Goldman Sachs Retail, which it sounds terribly boring, but what's the Marcus deal?
Well, it was one of the very first things that I was asked to do when I joined the firm was to come up with the name. And we did a ton of research, and we came up with almost 2,000 different names for this business. And through legal screening and digital securances and all that good stuff, but ultimately through research, we landed on the name Marcus by Goldman Sachs. And so if you haven't looked it up yet, Marcus Goldman was one of the founders of the firm 147 years ago. And so what Marcus really does for us is a few things. Obviously, there is connective tissue to our heritage and our history, but there is also a freshness to using somebody's name. And it indicates this is a digital offering. It makes it more personal and accessible to people. So having this one-on-one personal conversation with people from Marcus to the individual. And the other thing that it lends itself to is it connects to Goldman Sachs in terms of consumers want to know that this is an offering by Goldman Sachs. So
because you could have gone the other way. It could have been like
we could have just said Marcus,
and you could have been like, oh my God, Goldman Sachs has like this veil of ickiness from the financial crisis, vampire squid, but that's not actually what you found
It's
in your research.
not what we found, actually. Through our research, we found that consumers really were more likely to provide personal information to us, things like their social security numbers, things like their income. If they knew it was by Goldman Sachs, that was an indicator that this is a firm that has been around for a long time, has financial expertise, and you can trust that information with us.
I think Marcus brings the newness, freshness, vigor, and energy of a new way of managing debt. And by Goldman Sachs brings the gravity that you're dealing with a financial institution which has been there for 147 years.
I hate them, but they've been around for a long time, and I trust they're good with money, essentially. That could be the message in all of this.
Well, I won't respond to the first part of your question, but I would say that our research has shown that consumers love to do business with us. Many think that they probably cannot, but when they see, our loan is anywhere from $3,500 to $30,000. Typically, customers are taking loans for 4 years. So this is a loan meant for the tens of millions of people in America who have high-interest credit card debt.
Okay, I've got high credit card debt, right? I'm one of those millions of tens of millions. And I've got, a good credit. Not horrible, not awesome. I'm 680, okay? Let's say that's my credit score. And I have a job. And now tell me what I do. I've got a 22% credit card balance with 20 grand on it. What do I do?
Visit Marcus.com.
And tell me what happens. What happens when I get there?
On a serious note, the invitation to visit Marcus.com is also very serious. We want to help Americans pay down their debt and manage their debt better. We want to make sure that they have the ability to manage that debt. We don't want to be an irresponsible lender. So therefore, we tend to look at people's credit scores. We also look at their ability to pay. How much income they have, how much debt, how much housing, etc.
So that's like it's underwriting. It's not as like crazy as say I'm going to go get a mortgage for hundreds of thousands of dollars. What's the underwriting besides the score, income? What other verification do you need?
I think it is we need to know it's an online offering. We need to know that the person who's applying it does indeed exist
right.
in reality. We need to know the credit score. and we need to know the income and their other expenditures. A lot of this is available. We make it very convenient for them so that once they give us their initial name, address, details, we can access the credit bureau. In fact, at the initial stage, we access the credit bureau without it impacting their credit score.
So it's not a hard inquiry.
It's not
soft,
a hard inquiry.
That's
it's a
great.
soft inquiry. And on the basis of a soft inquiry, they can get an upfront idea whether they would get the loan or not. Then we ask them a few more details before we do a hard inquiry. And going back to the consumer research, what we heard was, I already spoke about lower rates, fixed rates, no fees. But very importantly, we heard that people want it to be convenient. They don't want to go through multiple hoops. Mm-hmm. So therefore, if you visit our site, marcus.com, it is very intuitive and easy because we co-created it with consumer feedback. The other very interesting thing, Jill, we heard was, and maybe Dustin, you want to talk about what was a really surprising thing, given that this is a digital offering, about the need for human contact.
Oh, wait, don't do that yet, because we're going to go for a break. Of course, I want to know first and foremost is whether we have some sort of sketch of Marcus Goldman. I'm just thinking he's probably related, like some old German Jewish dude in the 1800s, long beard. No, you don't have that?
There's a nice photo of him in the About Us section within Marcus.com.
Nice. That's about all you get. We are talking to Harit Talwar, head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Dustin Cohn, head of brand and marketing communications for Marcus by Goldman Sachs. We're talking about this new offering, and I am interested in hearing about that because look, this is a show that's all about your financial life, and there's sort of an anonymity when people call in and talk about it. But we definitely get the feeling that people have one foot in the digital world, but one foot really they do like to talk to a human being in some way, shape, or form. So when we come back with the Marcus boys, we're going to talk about how you combine technology and humanity to the loan process. It's Jill on Money, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back.
Young, old, it doesn't matter. She's here to help you. Back to Jill on Money with Jill Schlesinger.
You're back with Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, we'd love to hear from you. Shoot us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com, or give us a call, 855-411-JILL. We are joined this hour by two gentlemen from Marcus by Goldman Sachs, Harit Talwar and Dustin Cohn. And before we went to the break, Dustin, you mentioned that there's something interesting about an online lending platform. You actually found that consumers wanted ease and convenience and low fees and all of these things, but they also might want a person. How did you come to figure that out, and what is it that they want from that person?
Well, while we worked with consumers to co-create our site and make it a very intuitive experience, the number one thing that we heard from consumers is, I want the ability to speak to a person, a live person, when I want to. And we actually not only did that by developing a call center right here in the United States, but we also did this without using machines. So we all have experienced needing to press 2 and 5 and 7.
Makes me insane.
Yeah,
I just did it with
hold.
Time Warner Cable this morning. It makes me insane.
We do not have that, actually. When you call us, a human being picks up the phone, and actually we are averaging under 5 seconds picking up that phone.
Where is that call center located?
It's in Salt Lake City.
Oh, well, people don't even have an accent in Salt Lake, so it's great. Someone once said to me, just out of, it's laughable, because I said, I was on the phone with someone in a call center. I couldn't understand what they're saying. They said, oh, they from India? I said, no, they were from the South. I couldn't understand a word the guy was saying. Okay, so not only do they want a human being, but I think that something that's unique about this Marcus product, because I went and played around with it, is it's not cookie cutter in that I as a consumer can determine the length of this loan, right?
As we all know, typically if you're going to take out a loan, you're going to request a certain amount of money and you're going to pick 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. What we heard from consumers also was that they know how much they make each month. They know what their bills are like, and they're comfortable with a certain dollar amount that they want to pay for their loan each month. So that's actually what we allow them to do. They can pick up monthly payment options, so it's somewhat customized, and they can pay the amount that they are comfortable with. And because we're a balance sheet lender, we can issue a loan at 33 months or 41 months. It doesn't have to be this cookie cutter 3 or 5 year loan.
What's the longest term that I can take with Marcus?
6 years.
6 years. Okay. And I mean, in some respects, I guess that people get a little freaked out by the idea like, oh my God, my credit card, I don't have like a time horizon, a fixed time horizon. And yet that is, of course, the problem. That's why they end up staying in debt, Harit. That's why we can't get them to pay these things off.
Correct. I think credit card is a useful product for somebody who uses it to make payments. It may be useful for an occasional need to borrow. The problem is because it is a revolving credit and the card industry is always trying to make you spend more money, it is easy even for responsible people to fall into unintended large amount of debt. Mm-hmm. What we like about a personal loan is that there is a certain amount of discipline and you pay a certain amount each month. It's a fixed rate. You know when you will be getting out of debt. And as Dustin said, people want to know, okay, I can afford to pay $350 a month. I need $12,000 of loan. What are the various options? And in fact, based on the soft pull that we do, we immediately show up a minimum of 3 options to the customer. And it's very clear. If you pay less each month, you may take a loan for a longer period, but you may land up paying total over the life of the loan higher interest. On the other hand, you could pay more each month and pay a little less interest overall.
And you know what the good news is? Before we go because I'm going to kick you out of here because I got to get you back downtown. Mm-hmm. But the good news is once they pay off the loan, you can have them redirect that money into savings and you can give them a higher interest bearing account, can't you?
That's true.
Do a 1 minute.
That's true. We are very proud that we also have an online savings account in our online deposit platform. And unlike other banks who spend all their money in brick and mortar branches and pay typically 5 basis points, 0.05% interest on the savings account, we pay 1.2% interest on our savings account. And because we want to not spend the money on brick and mortar, we want to give it to the customers to help them save and make more out of their savings.
And that offering is with gsbank.com.
GS Bank. Thank God the marketing guy is here to do that. You know, the strategy guy is like, yeah, we do all this great stuff. I forgot to tell him where to go. Okay, so here's the thing. You go to marcus.com if you want to check out these personal lending options. Go to gsbank.com for souped up savings rates. Thank you so much, Harit Talwar, head of Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Dustin Cohn, head of brand and marketing communications, for the same. Thanks to good old Marcus Goldman. I mean, it's nice to put a friendly face to the vampire squid. No, I'm just kidding. Come on, they hate that I said that. It's just fun. Come on. Kathleen, the PR flack, thank you so much as well. All right, when we return, more of your financial questions. 855-411-JILL. Send us an email. Ask Jill at jillonmoney.com. We'll be right back. You're back with Jill on Money. If you've got a financial question, 855-411-JILL. Send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com. I got a couple of questions that are essentially the same question, so let me give it to you this way. If you weren't exposed to retirement savings during your youth, what habits can you practice in your adulthood to get, quote, caught up? And a similar question, which is, I'm interested in catching up on my retirement, but I'm in my 40s. Do I have time? You know what? You do the exact same thing that you would have done in your youth. It's just that time is not on your side, right? So what I would say is if you're in your 40s and you're just getting started out on your retirement savings, you do the exact same disciplined approach. You take as much money as you possibly can and you direct it into retirement savings. The thing is that, because time is not on your side, what you really need to be clear about is you've got to do more. So if maybe you could sort of get away with starting with, say, 10% into a retirement account, I would say, man, you're going to have to get up to 15 or 20%. And if you can't and it's just your cash flow doesn't allow it, okay, I get it. But you're going to do as much as you possibly can. And also know that you may need to work longer. That's just the reality of it. One of the reasons we like to say to start early is to give you some options. But if you don't have those options, you may just have to either save more, work longer, or spend less in your retirement years. And it's probably going to be some combination of that. I always really try to warn people about the downside of planning to work longer as your retirement answer. Because if you have a physical job, that may not be possible. And if you have a sedentary job, your boss may not want you. So I get very nervous when people say, oh, I'll just work till I die. I don't know if you can. So start the process. Start as soon as you can. If that's in your 40s, just try to crank it out. That's the best advice. All right, that's it. That's the show. Thanks again to Harit, Talwar, and Dustin Cohn. They're from Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Check it out, Marcus.com. Maybe you get a personal loan for yourself. All right, talk to you next week, 855-411-JILL, or send us an email, askjill@jillonmoney.com.